Good evening, folks. Today we're doing lesson 163. There is no death. The Son of God is free. It's 9 paragraphs long. We'll do 2 paragraphs at a time, and we'll do our best to finish in about an hour or less. Okay, I'll go ahead and read the first 2 paragraphs. There is no death. The Son of God is free. Paragraph 1. Death is a thought that takes on many forms, often unrecognized. It may appear as sadness, fear, anxiety, or doubt, as anger, faithlessness, and a lack of trust, concern for bodies, envy, and all forms in which the wish to be as you are not may come to tempt you. All such thoughts are but reflections of the worshiping of death as Savior and as giver of release. Paragraph 2. Embodiment of fear, the host of sin, God of the guilty, and the Lord of all illusions and deceptions. Does the thought of death seem mighty? For it seems to hold all living things within its withered hand, all hopes and wishes in its blighting grasp, all goals perceived in its sightless eyes. The frail and helpless and the sick bow down before its image, thinking it alone is real, inevitably worthy of your trust, for it alone will surely come. Okay. All right, so let's see. Paragraph 1, sentence 1. Death is a thought that takes many forms. Okay. So there are many expressions of the symbol of death. Okay. There's, as it says here, sadness is a symbol of death. Fear is a symbol of death. Anxiety or doubt are symbols that you're buying into the mindset of death, aka the mindset of the ego. Anger is a symbol of death. Facelessness, lack of trust. All these are symbols of death. So when you're supporting any of them, if you feel somewhat not great about this, it's because you're supporting death. And so if you're supporting death, guess what? You're not really going to feel too good. Even if the ego tells you that no, this is the right reaction, that fear or sadness or envy is the right reaction. No, those are just death. Those are symbols of death. So the point is, don't think that sadness or fear, anxiety, doubt. Ruby is lesson 163. So don't you know how the ego would say, well, you're sad. That's not that bad. Or you're doubting. That's not that bad. That's what the ego would say. It's not that bad. But in reality, these are expressions of death. So you're supporting the mindset of death when you're supporting the ego's tools. Okay, so don't think they're little things. Don't think, just some small mistakes. Yeah, they're not real in essence because only love is real. But if you believe in the dream that's real, then you're going to get really sucked into the dream. And so, yes, those things are a little more important than the ego has you think. Okay, let's see. Paragraph 1, sentence 3. All such thoughts are but reflections of the worshiping of death as Savior and as giver of release. And so, in most moments or interactions, you are choosing your guide. Okay, so you're in each moment of interaction, you're choosing life or you're choosing death. You're choosing the ego or you're choosing God. Okay, so no, even though you think you're not being guided, you are being guided. Okay, now who are you using as a guide? Are you using death as your guide? Or are you using life as your guide? Are you using God as your guide? The light as your guide? Or are you using the darkness as your guide? Okay. So pay attention to that for sure. Let's see. Paragraph 2, sentence 2. For it seems to hold all living things within its withered hand, all hopes and wishes in fighting grasp, all goals perceived, but in its sightless eyes. Okay, when it says sightless eyes, that means you're viewing the world through the ego's lens, okay? And if you view the world through the ego's lens, you're just a slave to its world and mindset. Hello, Jim. It's lesson 163. And so, if you have sightless eyes, you're seeing the world through the eagle's lens. Okay. Any questions or comments on paragraph 1 and 2? No questions, no comments?
No.
All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 3 and 4?
I'll read it if you want.
Thank you.
All things but death are seen to be unsure, too quickly lost, however hard to gain, uncertain in their outcome, apt to fail the hopes they once engendered, and to leave the taste of dust and ashes in their wake, in place of aspirations and of dreams. But death is counted on, for it will come with certain footsteps when the time has come for its arrival. It will never fail to take all life as hostage to itself. Would you bow down to idols such as this? Here is the strength and might of God Himself perceived within an idol made of dust. Here is the opposite of God proclaimed as Lord in all creation, stronger than God's will for life, and endless of love and heaven's perfect, changeless consistency. Here is the will of Father and of Son defeated finally, and laid to rest beneath the headstone death has placed upon the body of the Holy Son of God.
Okay. This lesson is descriptive. Okay. But it's very simple. And it's got a few key points, and that's what the points that we're going to talk about. It's lesson 163, Jim. And we're doing paragraph 3 and 4. And so, okay, paragraph 3, sentence towards the end of sentence 1. Apt to fail hopes they once engendered, and to leave the taste of dust and ashes in their wake. Okay, whatever hopes you have, whatever hope you have for the symbols of death, which is the tools of the ego's mindset, okay, which we talked about in paragraph 1, sadness, fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, faithlessness, lack of trust, whatever hopes you have for them, they will always fail you. Okay, no matter how much the ego says, use this resentment right now. You have every right to use this resentment. And no matter how right you think that you are to use that resentment or that anger, it will never deliver to you peace to your mind and joy to your heart. Okay? So all the symbols of death will never deliver to you what you truly want and desire, which is peace of mind and joy. Okay? Let's see, paragraph 4, sentence 1. Would you bow down to idols such as this? Okay. Okay. When you're angry at another, so when you're angry at another, let's say one of the idols, one of the tools of the ego is anger, okay? So when you're angry at somebody else, you think, or the ego has you think that you hold the power over that person, okay? But who's really holding you captive? You're not holding the other person captive. You are holding yourself captive through your own thoughts. Okay, so you see, the ego tells you, judge that other person. You have every right to be angry at them. But then guess what really happens? You get imprisoned within the ego's mindset and world, okay? So just know that whatever the ego uses to try to say, yeah, go ahead, do this. It's okay. It's just enslaving you in its mindset. Any comments or questions in paragraph 3 and 4? All right, let's paragraph 4, sentence 3. Here's the opposite of God proclaimed as Lord of all creation. Stronger than God's will for life and endless love and heaven's perfect changeless consistency. Okay, so in heaven's perfect consistency. Okay, so in every moment, okay, no matter what the ego says, in every moment, God is available to you. Okay? And so, in paragraph 4, sentence 3, God's will for life, the endlessness of love, which is the expression of God, and heaven's perfect changeless consistency. Okay? So imagine your life, okay? And imagine the foundation of your life being some expression of that love. Love is in every step of the way. In some way, shape, or form, love is there. It's just that you fogged over what's really going on by supporting those false idols, the ego's tools and mindset. So when you're supporting the ego's tools and mindset, you're fogging over what's really available to you in each and every moment. Okay, so if you feel the fog of the world and you're doubtful or fearful or anxious, just know that beneath that delusion, there's the truth. Okay, there's a solid foundation beneath the ego's story. Okay, and so do not despair. Do not do not get sadder. Everything's okay. The choice for love is just one gentle choice away in every moment. No matter how dramatic the ego makes the play look, in every moment, peace is still there. Any comments or questions in paragraph 3 or 4? And we're doing lesson 163 for Christina and Luna.
Thank you.
Yeah. No comments, no questions for paragraph 3 and 4? All righty then. Would somebody like to read paragraph 5 and 6?
I can read it if you want, if no one else wants to read it.
Thank you.
Unholy in defeat, he has become what death would have him be. His epitaph, which death itself has written, gives no name to him, for he has passed to dust. It says but this, here lies a witness, God is dead. And this it writes again and still again, while its worshippers agree, and kneeling down with foreheads to the ground, they whisper fearfully that it is so. It is impossible to worship death in any form and still select a few you would not cherish and would you yet avoid, while still believing in the rest. For death is total. Either all things die, or else they live and cannot die. No compromise is possible. For here again we see an obvious position which we must accept if we be sane. What contradicts one thought entirely cannot be true unless its opposite is proven false.
All right, thank you. All right. Paragraph 5, sentence 3. It says, but this, here lies witness, God is dead. Okay, another way to say it, here lies witness that fear is real. Okay, if God is dead according to the ego, then the opposite, being fear, must be real. Okay, and then we go to paragraph 6, sentence 1. It is impossible to worship death in any form and still select a few you would not cherish and would yet avoid. So you might say, okay, so you might say to yourself, well, you know what? I have righteous anger. I'm angry at my brother and sister, and that's okay. But I don't believe in hatred. Okay? I don't believe in any kind of revenge. But if you believe in anger, if you believe in the delusion, in the fairy tale, doesn't matter what chapter of the fairy tale you believe. If you believe a chapter in the fairy tale, you believe the fairy tale. Okay, so be a little more responsible with your thinking and don't allow the ego to say, well, you can do this and not this. And you can be okay. You can be at peace. You can find joy. No, no. Either you believe the truth is true or you believe the false as true. One of those two. Okay. Uh, let's see. In paragraph 6, sentence 1, it is possible to worship death in any form and still select a few you will not cherish and yet avoid, while still believing believing in the rest. For death is total, okay? So the ego's mindset is total. Either you believe in it or not. Okay? Don't think that because you believe in it 25% and your brother or sister believes in it 75%, that you're any better than your brother or sister. You're stuck in the dream with your brother and sister. Okay? So don't believe any of the ego's tools and mindset because they never deliver to you peace of mind or joy. Okay? Either all things die or else they live and cannot die. Okay, either love is real. Okay, we have God, right? Hopefully, most of us believe in God. And God is love. Okay, that's the primary expression of God. Is love, is light, warmth. I guess you can call it if you go to the heavenly realms. Um, and so there's God is love and all, right? And then we have this little thing here called the ego, right? And the ego is trying to convince you that it can place itself in opposition to God, to love, to all. But what is the opposite of all? The opposite of all has to be nothing. Okay? So if you're believing in any of the delusions of the tools of the ego, you're believing in nothing. And then you wonder why you feel unfulfilled in life? It's because you're following a delusion as your guide. You're making the ego your guide. You're making nothing your guide. You're making nothing your guide, and then you think you're going to feel fulfilled. You're following nothing, and then you're going to think you're going to feel fulfilled. You're supporting anger, resentment, hatred as real, fear, anxiousness, doubt, worry as real, and then you think you're going to feel at peace. No, sorry. You can play the ego's game all you want, but you're never going to achieve what you truly desire and deserve as God's child in creation, as long as you're supporting the ego's lies as true. Okay, so stop doing that. When has the ego's lies ever delivered to you peace to your mind or joy to your heart? When? Tell me when. No matter how right the ego said, tell me when it delivered to you what God has gifted to you in each and every moment. In each and every moment, peace of mind is available, joy is available. But still, you decide to go into the ego's fog and you start to look for, as the Course in Miracles says, search but do not find. Go ahead and play with the ego all you want. Go ahead. Go ahead and support anger as real, resentment as real, and see if it gives you anything. Search but do not find. That's the ego's little game. Haven't we all searched enough through the ego's lens to realize that it can offer us nothing we want? And there's got to be a moment in our lives when we say enough is enough. There has to be. You can't just, like Mike says, you can't just keep hitting your head on the wall and think it's okay. Okay? So stop it. When those little ego thoughts start to whisper into your mind, like Lori was saying before, Dr. Lori was saying before, don't support it. Don't support lies. Okay, you support lies, you get sucked into the drain. You get sucked into the madness. When the first second you hear the ego speak, and you know what the ego says, it says in paragraph 1, many things it says: sadness, fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, facelessness, lack of trust, concern for bodies, envy. Okay, plus many more things. The second you hear any of those things, stop it. Stop investing your time, your focus, and your energy on lies. Because if you support energy, those lies as true, find yourself believing in the fantasy as real. Okay, and then you're gonna sink little by little. You'll be sinking in the ego swamp, and you start. So why am I sinking? Oh, I just supported a little bit of anger. I just a little bit of resentment. Why am I still sinking? Okay, it's because you're in the ego swampland. No matter if you have a foot or 2 feet in it. Okay, so stop supporting the lies that's true. Any comments or questions for paragraph 5 and 6?
I got something about that I like uh the whole concept of no compromise, that it's either one way or the other. And if we can't accept that God is everything or else he's nothing, if you can't figure that part out, then that's insane. It's insane. We would be insane if we couldn't see the logic uh, that if if God created everything and God is love, then love is everything or it's nothing. It can't, there's nothing in between that. It's the thought, we're going to be in the fear, in the delusion, or in the only reality, which is love. There's nothing in between that. And I think that vibration, I love being in that vibration.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's a beautiful vibration. That's where you want to be. Listen, you only want to see the real as real. You're not going to, don't give any of your time to the false, no matter how much the ego tries to convince you to give time to it. Be uncompromising. Take personal responsibility for each and every thought that comes into your mind. And stop blaming the outer world. That's what the ego wants. The ego wants you to blame the outer world, to blame your brother and sister. Why? Why does it do that? Because it's secretly, when it teaches you to do that, when it convinces you to do that, to blame your brother or sister or the outer world, guess what? You give your power away to everybody out there. Okay, that's what the ego wants. The ego wants you to give your blame everybody out there. That way, you give your power to everybody out there, and guess what? You become powerless. Do you want to be powerful or powerless? You know what the ego wants for you. The ego wants you powerless. Why? Why does the ego want you powerless? Because he doesn't want you aligned with the all powerful. He doesn't want you to think that you can possibly be one with the all powerful. Okay? So if you find yourselves as powerless, then you must go ahead and shrink with the ego. Go ahead and shrink with the ego. That's where the ego wants you, in this little cave, blaming everybody out there. And so the ego wants you powerless. So if you're feeling powerless, guess what? You're allowing the ego to guide you. You don't have to punish yourself for that. You just have to take personal responsibility and recognize what's really happening. You have allowed the ego to take control over your thoughts and thus over your mind and life. And it all begins with the thought that your brother or sister is unworthy of forgiveness for whatever it is they did. Okay? It all begins with a thought. So if you don't allow that one little thought to grow into this tsunami of BS.
Yeah, that thought starts with me is when I forget that those others out there, I'm not separate from that. They're not them and me. That separation is from the ego thought that I am separate from those others out there that I want to blame. And that's the first wrong thought, or thought that
Hey,
makes me
hey, hey.
forget. It's good to be able to remember.
Yes. Yes. And so don't think that it's just because it's one thought, it's powerless. It's a powerless situation. It's one thought. Well, it's just one little thought of judgment. That's the thought that drags you into the darkness. Okay. But all you have to do is learn to recognize when the ego is whispering to you. And like we talked about earlier in the class with Lori, stop that thought. Say to yourself, I will no longer sacrifice my time, my focus, or my energy to any thought that seems to separate me from an all-loving God. I'm done. I'm done supporting any thought that seems to separate me from an all-loving God. Period. The end. Be uncompromising with your thoughts. Any other comments or questions for paragraph 5 and 6?
You know, I found today also that was really, I mean, I've really gotten this awakening. Even watching the TV, you know, you watch a movie or whatever, and then you start saying, yeah, they're bad, you know, yeah, see, the guy was he was a bomber, he was from the Middle East, it sounds like. And I'm like, yeah, they're crazy, them people from the Middle East. And I recognized it and I said, mm-mm. And I stopped right there. And the thought just never even came back. So we can also be tricked by the TV too, to going down that spiral. The news, all of that stuff. That's the ego will use that. That's what I feel. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's interesting. I was everything just synchronized. So I was just reading about that, not to watch the TVs and the news because
Yeah.
it's all separation. Because
Yeah.
if you are paying attention to the separation, it's actually it creates the thoughts of the separation and it taking over, your power of love, away from you. So that's very interesting. And just one comment. So I think, when you feel angry and resentment, that's basically based on fear. So you are basically judge, this is not good enough. This is not supposed to be. This is, not it should be. When you're doing the judgment, that's separation. And that's not that's based on fear, it's not based on love. So that's only going to create a separation, more conflict when you are doing that. So if it were based on love, it will come back to peace instead of being angry. So just a quick comment. Yeah.
yeah. Also, also friends. I have a friend and she's very much into conspiracy theory. I mean, so am I. But when I talk to her, I'm so anxious after I talk to her because she's telling me, oh, I've got all my supplies ready. And, my United States is going to be ground zero. And, and after I talk to her, I'm so anxious. I'm so fearful. So now I don't even call her. I don't even get into, when I talk to her, I don't even get into those conversations because I know that my mind can go all the way there. So right now, I'm not even giving that a foothold. And it's amazing because when you really ask the Holy Spirit, it just goes. It doesn't even take root. I mean, I wish I'd have known this a long time ago. This is amazing. It's amazing.
Yes. Okay, so if you're, let's say, you're listening to the newscast, okay? First remember this, and science can tell you this too. Every thought has a chemical reaction to it, okay? So either you're poisoning yourself or you're healing yourself with every thought you think. This is why I'm kind of insisting on the power of the one thought. Okay? Ask yourself, am I poisoning myself with the thoughts I'm thinking, which are all the ego's tools, you know, or am I healing myself with every thought that I'm thinking? When I look at the news, okay, first of all, I would highly recommend you stay away from that.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
CRAP, okay?
Mhm.
Most of the television is CRAP, okay?
Most of it's not true either. Most of it's not true. Only 5% of it's true. You got to figure out which part of it's true. So, you
Yeah,
know,
don't even worry about
yeah. No, I don't.
yeah, don't even waste your time. Remember, the ego's world is about one thing, really. It's called distraction. How can I distract the ego systems? How can I distract this person from God? That's the one question that the ego is always asking itself in every moment in an interaction. How can I distract James from love? How can I distract James from being one with his source? How can I distract James from being the light of the world in this moment or interaction? Okay. So just make a mental note of the power of each and every thought you have. And stop, for the love of God, poisoning yourself with your thoughts, with your own thoughts. Because again, the ego says, well, here, check out those newscasts. Look how interesting it is. Look at all these explosions, all these people in whatever land getting killed. Look at that. Oh, how entertaining these people are getting killed on TV. Or whatever, how terrible or how disgusting. Or any thought that's apart from love. If you have any thought that's apart from love when you're watching the TV or the world, the ego won. The ego convinced you that you could be something other than love. And so for the love of God, stop buying into the ego's lies as true. Stop supporting his thoughts as real, and stop poisoning yourself with your own thoughts. People say, well, I'm not committing suicide. Are you not committing suicide? Slowly. When you're allowing the ego to guide you, you think, well, I must be better than this person because this person killed himself, but I'm here walking around, you know, but I'm committing. When I'm supporting the ego's thoughts as real, when I'm sacrificing my time, focus, and energy to the ego, I'm slowly committing suicide. Because remember, each thought, each emotion has a chemical reaction inside your body, inside your brain, inside your heart. They all have chemical reactions. Okay? So don't let the ego trick you into thinking that, oh, I'm watching this terrible thing. I find it so disgusting. Oh, that's terrible. You're judging the situation. You're poisoning yourself. And the ego says, ooh, great. I win again. Because I separated James or Lori or Mike or Jim from his true purpose in life, which is to be the light of the world in each moment and interaction. That's our one and only purpose. And we all have it in our own unique ways, but our one and only purpose is to be the light of the world in each moment and each interaction to everybody who God sends our way. And when God sends somebody to you, just think about if you have children. Would you send any of your children to somebody you didn't trust? You would never send any of your kids to somebody you didn't trust. So when somebody comes into your presence, what is that saying? What is it saying when somebody comes into your presence? It's saying that God is entrusting you with his child. Okay? So each and every person that comes into your experience is sent there by God, because God trusts you to guide him or her back into alignment with the light within him or her. Okay? So from now on, each and every person that comes your way, know they're in front of you because God sent them, because God is entrusting you with them. And so be very, very strict with yourself and how you see your brother or sister. Because your brother or sister is witnessing to you that God trusts you. Okay? So take care of God's kids. Please.
Hey, James, can you clarify something? I just went off on a weird tangent on the idea of slowly poisoning yourself. And I get the whole chemical thing in the brain with our thoughts. I just wanted to clarify, because the way I was understanding the reading was there's no slowly poisoning. It's you're either dead or you're alive. Your thought is either of love or it's of death. It's not this slow thing. So in other words, I get the idea, but every time, and I get it. I watched What the Bleep Do We Know too. So that the neurons that are firing with the fear thoughts are not good for our physical body. But the thoughts of love heal all those that we just killed. And the body and all that's, that's something else. I don't know. That's maybe another discussion. But the idea of the idea, it's not a slow, gradual poisoning. It's either we're in this moment we're dead or we're love. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. I mean, that was just kind of like making a story or whatever the Holy Spirit was saying. But yeah,
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
in the first paragraph, it says, death is a thought that takes on many forms: sadness, fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, faithlessness, lack of trust, concern for the body, envy. Okay, so all those are death. Okay? So when the ego says, oh, that's just a little bit of envy, that's death. The ego's trying to convince you that it's just a little thing. That's death. You're supporting death. And then you wonder why you feel lifeless. You're supporting death. Stop supporting death for the love of God. I mean, we're all wise enough to understand this.
Yeah, this is definitely the messages for me, because I was this afternoon just writing down, stop watching news. I read on my book. And because I realized it's really taking, my attention, and I have so much comments on, this is the news, that news. I have so much comment running in my head. And I start to read another book, and the book is saying, this is actually taking, taking your love away, because you're paying attention to the separation. So it's good that we come up with this topic this evening. I think I'm gonna stop from now on, stop watching news. It's too much comments.
It changed my life, Ruby.
Yeah.
I mean, it black and white, day and night when I turn that stuff off.
Yeah.
Yes, because all of those things are just ego devices. And again, it's for one thing: distraction. Distracting you from your mission and purpose in life, which is to be the light of the world. Okay?
Yeah.
And YouTube is a terrible one. That's a big distraction, because when you get on there, the algorithm, like for me, it'll bring up all the stories of animals being abused and people being hurt, and then you see people who look like their lives are perfect, and you start comparing your life and saying, how come my life's not like that? How come, and it just spirals out of control. So I've stopped even going on YouTube.
Yes. Mike
Not
has to go.
YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, Mike has to go because he's got another class. So,
Bye.
Mike. Yeah. All YouTube channels are terrible except for mine.
Not YouTube. I meant Facebook. There's some great YouTube channels. There's a lot of. I meant Facebook.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Yeah, yours is
But
great.
yeah, but there's a lot of terrible YouTube channels and there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
It's like this is the world of duality, okay?
Yeah.
So there's good and bad in a lot of things. Even TV, some things, some TV stuff is beautiful, but it's very limited, in my view. But there's some decent TV shows and stuff like that that's used for good. Like say I haven't seen the
What time, honey? Because I'm been sleepy.
Do you want to eat?
okay. And so like say I haven't seen the Chosen yet, but I hear it's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So there's shows that are
It is. The Chosen is great.
yes, thank you.
What is that on Netflix?
Or Prime. I'm not sure. Or
Oh, okay, I'm gonna
One-
watch it.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale. I know I gotta finish it.
oh gosh,
I have to finish it. No,
that's
I gotta
so
finish
intense. That's
it.
so
It is,
intense.
but I gotta finish it. So that
Yeah, it's okay to distract yourself a little bit, but keep it.
yeah. That's why it's good to watch some stupid stuff, some meaningless stuff, stuff that just makes you laugh, or stuff that you don't have to pay too much attention to. So
Or
I do.
what was it you said last week, James, or maybe it was the other meeting earlier this week, that do not do the horror shows.
Oh yeah. No,
Those are
do that. No,
no good.
can't do that. Some of them are horrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And the thing is that in the spiritual realm, they use your memories against you.
Yeah.
The bad spirits sometimes. So whatever horror movie you have, they can use it against you. So
Yeah.
don't allow that stuff to go through your mind.
And then in Hollywood, they do rituals over a lot of those movies and things like that. So, you're getting that energy in your home, like the music, a lot of it is hypnotic, and a lot of it, it's all by design,
Yeah, it's very corrupted. Would somebody like to read paragraph 7 and 8?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
The idea of death of God is so preposterous that even the insane have difficulty in believing it, for it implies that God was once alive and somehow perished, killed, apparently by those who did not want him to survive. Their stronger will could have triumphed over his. And so eternal life gave way to death, and with the Father died the Son as well. Death worshippers may be afraid, and yet can thoughts like these be fearful? If they saw that it is only this which they believe, they would be instantly released. And you will show them this today. There is no death, and we renounce it now in every form, for their salvation and our own as well. God made not death. Whatever form it takes must therefore be illusion. This is the stand we take today. And it is given us to look past death and see the life beyond.
Yeah. Yes. So let's see. Paragraph 8, sentence, I think 4. And you will show this to them. There is no death, and we renounce it now in every form. Okay. So when a thought of death, aka when any of the eagle's tools are being whispered in your ear, renounce it. Take conscious control of the moment. Come back into the holy instant. Align with the mind of God, which is love, and renounce that thought. You could even, if you so want, you can bind that thought. And if you like Christ, then you can bind that thought in the name of Jesus. And believe it or not, that does help. Okay, so when a thought comes that's egocentric, renounce it immediately. As soon as you get this is an ego thought, renounce it. Say no. I'm not going to support this thought as true. I'm not going to, when the ego says, go ahead, judge your brother or sister at work. He wouldn't even call them brother or sister. He would call them judge that person at work. Stop. No matter how much the ego may convince you that you have the right to judge that person, stop. Renounce that thought. That thought is literally unworthy of you. All those thoughts of death are not worthy of you who are life, you who are creation of life. Okay? And so renounce that thought when it comes to your mind. We have any questions or comments for paragraph 7 and 8?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so I understand what this is saying, and it's sort of comforting and sort of scary. But the question I have is, in this world that we live in the ego's world, when we are faced with not thoughts that are associated with death, like anger and what you're talking about, but the reality of somebody, I lost a friend in October to cancer. And that is not, I can't just sit there and be like, it's not real. You know what I mean? Like, she's gone. I hope she's with God. I want her soul to be free with God. I know you hate when I say I hope, but until I get there and cross over to the other side, it is hope. And so I am not sure what this is directing us to do in those circumstances, I guess is what I would say.
Yes. First of all, don't judge your feelings. Okay? Because if you're judging your feelings, what are you doing? You're doing what the ego is telling you to do. Okay? So if you're saying, okay, my friend is in heaven now, and I feel so sad. Oh no, wait. I shouldn't be feeling sad because I'm judging myself. Okay? So don't judge yourself. Feel your feelings. Feel whatever it is that your feelings are. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to process your emotions. It's okay to read through the fairy tale, but then close the book on the fairy tale and use that moment for good. Use that moment to say, okay, friend, I know deep inside my heart, I know that you want me to have a joyous and peaceful life. So, in honor of you, I'm going to use this moment to dedicate myself more to having a peaceful and joyful life. And so that your passing becomes an honor to this world. By your passing, I dedicate myself more to joy and I dedicate myself more to peace in honor of you. So that one day, when I can finally meet you again in heaven, and you will, you can do so with your head held high. Because do you really think that your friend wants you to be sad and depressed and feeling terrible about her passing? Do you really think she wants that? No, she does not want that. She wants you to be the light of the world that God created you to be. And you're making her proud when you're choosing love over fear, when you're choosing hope over hopelessness, or when you're choosing joy over sadness and depression. Okay? So use that moment, feel your feelings, then use that moment to honor her. And you'll honor her by becoming a brighter and brighter light each and every day. And then when you do so, you're going to feel fulfilled because you're doing what God and her want you to do. They both want you to be a light in the world. They both want you to be a beacon of peace and joy for others. Okay? They want you to feel happy when you think of them, not sad. And so that's what is being offered in every moment, even in those sad moments. Become a beacon of hope for others. Use it for good, as God does. God, like the Course in Miracles says, what the ego uses to hurt, God uses to heal. Okay? So use it to heal. Use it to be a beacon of light for others. Does that help?
It's beautiful. I think I'm too minded, because there's part of me when I think of her that I'm like, oh, she's free, she's back with God. She has a better life than I do right now. And, you know, that's half of it. And then the other half is I think about suffering and how she went and that her family is without her. And, you know, I don't, it's been a little while, so I don't walk around feeling miserable or anything, but it's more like my mind disagrees with itself, that I don't have a clear way to think about it, that I'm saying, is what I'm saying.
Just make her proud. Just be a light in the world. And when you're thinking of her, many times when we think of our brothers or sisters who are on the other side, they can feel what we're feeling. Okay, and so do you want her to feel that sadness, or you want her to feel a certain level of hope and joy and peace?
She knows I'm thinking about her. Does the
Yeah.
book, does the course say that?
No, the course does not get into that. I'm just telling you my experience.
Yeah.
She is. She's all around. She didn't go anywhere. She's still here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how we travel up there. It's through thought. So when we
Thoughts, yeah.
think of a certain thing, that's how you kind of travel.
Mm-hmm.
When people think certain ways together, they become kind of like a little family. Like when I said it on Sunday, is this Course in Miracles class and the one on Sunday. All the times that those people there are more family to you than your actual family.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a thought process, and in the heavenly realms, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna be mostly around people who think like you up there, and so yes.
I is that can I was just going to say that some of one of the thoughts that I have that helps me through grief and loss of loved ones is remembering that that we're not our bodies. We're spirit, we're energy, we're love, and that there isn't. It helps me to think that that there isn't like loved ones aren't going someplace to God. They're here. God is here. God is all of this.
Yeah.
Everything is happening right now. And all that's happening is the energy that makes up this body is just changing and vibrating differently. And it's still all happening right here, right now. I know that's kind of like esoteric out there, but it helps my mind feel like, okay, I have not lost anything. It's all still present in this moment, and it's all love. God's not there. My friends have not gone to God. God is all. Anyway, it helps me going through the grief. And I think what James said at the beginning was just don't disrespect the emotions of loss because that's just love, you know.
Yeah. Feel okay to feel your feelings, process your feelings, but then use them for good. Use it for good. Paragraph 8, sentence 1. Death worshippers may be afraid, and yet can thoughts like these be fearful? Okay, so if fear is nothing, not real, not true, can you be afraid of nothing? Okay. So the ego puts a lot of weight on its little tools. Okay. In the end, those tools are nothing, not real, not true. So if they seem to be imprisoning you, just step right over them, humbly. They're not real. They're not true. They're not you. Okay. Let's see what else. Paragraph 8, sentence 4, and you will show them this today. Okay, so you're here to be a light in the world for them. That only love is real, and that's the example we're here to set today, especially in this lesson. We're here to set the example of life. That life is real, and death is not real. that you're free, the Son of God is free. He's not in prison within the ego's mindset. Paragraph 8, sentence 9. And it is given us to look past death and see beyond, and see the life beyond. Okay. One of the things, of course, calls forgiveness. It says overlooking is a form of forgiveness. So you overlook the delusion. In essence, you forgive it. So it is given us to look past death, to look past the delusion, to look past the fairy tale, and see only life, and see only the light in us. Look past your brother's action and see only the eternal in them as real and true. Okay, so that's a point there. Okay, I'll go ahead and any other questions or comments on paragraph 7 and 8? No? All right. I'll go ahead and read paragraph 9 to finish off. Our Father, bless our eyes today. We are your messengers, and we would look upon the glorious reflection of your love, which shines in everything. We live and move in you alone. We are not separate from your eternal life. There is no death, for death is not your will. And we abide where you have placed us, in the life we share with you and with all living things, to be like you and part of you forever. We accept your thoughts as ours, and our will is one with yours eternally. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, let's see. Okay, our Father, okay, paragraph 9, sentence 1. Our Father, bless our eyes today. Okay, so let's make a conscious decision to see the world only as God sees it. Okay, and you can do this, you can improve that when you do that proactively. So say to yourself before every interaction, before every situation, I want to see the situation, this brother and this sister, only as God sees them. Okay, so your goal in the interaction or in the situation is to see them as God sees them, and only as God sees them. Okay, so when you go into the interaction with your goal already set, the interaction has a better chance of achieving its goal. Okay, so when you're in the interaction, okay, and you start to wander away by the ego, come back. Keep reminding yourself during the interaction, my goal is to see my brother and sister only as God does. When your little judgments come calling, nope. My goal is to see my brother and sister only as God does. And then after the interaction, you can review and see how well you did. Was I listening with love and non-judgment? Good job. If I wasn't, okay, just correct it for the next time. Okay, let's see. We are your messengers, aka we're his angels. We will look upon the glorious reflection of your love, which shines in everything. Okay, so the possibility for love is in everything and everyone. Okay, if you can't see love in somebody else, then you're withholding that love from yourself. Okay, see the love in your brother or sister as true, irregardless. Is that even a word? What? Irregardless? I say that word.
No.
Yeah.
Irregardless.
So you're supposed to probably say regardless, right? Regardless of what
Irregardless.
Irregardless. Hey, it's a word now. It's a word now, James.
Irregardless is a word, right? Irregardless.
I know what he means.
It's a word on this YouTube channel. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's a word. It's a word. Irregardless.
You're going to get mail, James.
Okay, let's see. Yes.
Yeah, irregardless is a word.
It's not one we should use. James, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is my question. I hope it's not stupid, but you know. You all love me, so even if it sounds stupid, that's fine. Is the moment of what we perceive as death, well, let's not ourselves, but if we're, we know somebody has died, is that the moment that all illusion is, I mean, it's all illusion, but is that the moment that all illusion is gone from them? That the moment of death is there is no more illusion, and then because you're only in spirit at that point. There's no pretend body anymore, right?
Yeah, but okay, this is a difficult question to answer because it's really individualized, the experience of somebody after they pass, and so some people carry that stuff for a little while. Some people are able to let it go, and so it's difficult question to answer because it's not one thing serves all. Now there is no time up there, so we're asking questions that are best answered by somebody up there, not me. But if anybody has any comments about that, they can share. But yeah, sometimes you drop it, and sometimes you keep it for a little while, and sometimes you keep it for a long while, even though there is no time up there. But you know what I'm saying. Okay. Paragraph 9, sentence 6, and we abide where you have placed us. Okay, so wherever you are, God is. Okay, so no matter where you are, God is there with you. He's just waiting for you to turn his way. Okay, and so if you turn towards the world, towards the flesh, towards the material, towards the ego's little lies and mindset, and you're not feeling God, maybe do a little turn and go to love. In this duality, that can be useful. So if just remember that no matter how much you're stuck in this place, you're always just one choice away from God. He's available to you and to us in each moment and interaction. Okay. Any other comments or questions for paragraph 9?
Okay, I have one more.
Yes.
This is more like something you said about how every time we look at somebody else, we should be looking at them through God's eyes. And so one time you were talking about homeless people and, if you're afraid or if you know what I mean, you said do what brings you peace, do what makes you feel comfortable, kind of thing that you said.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were talking about that before?
Yes.
The other day I went out and I was driving and on the road, on the sidewalk right next to the road, there was somebody who was flat out and the wheelchair was upside down. And I turned in and I went to go make sure he was okay. And he was missing a leg and he was very incoherent and out of it.
I know that guy.
Do you?
Yeah.
So I called 911. I didn't know what to do because he was very close to Kendall Drive. And he was going to like roll into the road and the cars were not slow. They were not even slowing down. Forget stopping. People flying by and he was like inches. But I did not want to touch him. I first of all, I didn't even know if I could pull him back, even if I wanted to. If I tried to step off the curb, I would have been hit to try to block a car. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I really felt almost like I just helpless, but I wanted to help. And so anyway, what happened is he had a cup of money, so he was clearly begging for, money or whatever. And he was reaching around trying to grab it, even though his eyes were half open and he could barely talk.
Yeah.
And when eventually the police and the ambulance arrived, I saw the ambulance driver. He found like a bottle of liquor, I guess, 10 feet away or something that I had not seen that was mostly empty. So the guy was drunk. But he went over to him and said, "Hey, buddy, how have you been?" And I said to him, "Do you know this guy?" And he said, this is what he said to me. He said, "Yeah, I know him." He said, "I've been punched in the face by him with his hands covered in," I won't say the word, but SHIT, since James doesn't like cursing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't lean over and try to like pull him. You know what I mean? Like I could have gotten punched. And, but I still struggled. Like, I left, I wished him well in my heart. I wished him love or whatever. They were taking care of him. But I struggled with the whole thing from beginning to end because I wanted to help him, but I was afraid, and also I didn't know what to do correctly. So I did, you said like do what brings you peace. I did what I could under those circumstances, but there's definitely a part of me that felt like, like what if he had rolled? Would I have jumped and grabbed him? I don't know.
He probably wouldn't have rolled. He's probably used to that. He probably wouldn't have rolled. Probably he's just used to that,
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I would say, and I don't want to be like, feminine, masculine kind of thing. I don't know what the word is there, sexist. But if you're a woman and
Yeah.
like the guy's pretty big,
Yeah.
and obviously he's diabetic, and when you're diabetic, sometimes you go into mental places you can't control, and so God only knows what He can do to a woman in bad times. And so the best thing for you to do is call 911. Those guys have been there probably 100 times,
Yeah.
times helping the guy out because he always passes out on the side of the road, in his wheelchair, usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've rolled him into the shade and just called 911. And sometimes you just call 911, and that's the journey he's chosen. He'll learn whatever it is that he needs to learn from it. And we just have to go to our hearts and do what peace would do what love would do. And in your situation, I think you did the right thing. I think you called, you were there, and you did what brought you peace, and that's what you're supposed to do in each moment in a situation.
Yeah, but you have to be careful, Wendy, because I work with the homeless, and you really have to be careful because most of the time I'm tough. I never really have a problem with them, but there are some that have become very combative with me, and if you're not able to handle that, or they can flip at a switch, they can flip at any minute. They take their anger on you, especially a woman who they see you're being kind, they'll take that as a weakness. So you really have to be very careful.
Well, I am very careful, but I thought his life was in danger. You know what I mean? Like if he was just sitting there asking for money, I would have kept going, but he was on the ground and his wheelchair was upside down. So I didn't feel it was okay to keep going.
Yeah. So maybe you can just park the car there and in front of him and just call 911, And I'm sure other people probably call 911 too.
Yeah. And they probably see him all the time there anyway.
Yeah, they see
So
him
they know.
all the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Any final questions or comments for lesson 163? There is no death. The Son of God is free. Lesson 163. All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
God willing, we'll see each other soon.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
Thank you, Wendy.
Bye,
Thank you,
Lorraine.
Good night.
Lori. Thank you,
Thank
Ruby.
you,
Good night,
everybody.
Wendy.
Bye, Lori.
Christina, Isabel, and Lori.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, James.
Bye.
Good night, Ruby.